exposure and experience to grow some skills and get me ready for future careers.
Okay. And so, Skylar, where are you from?
I'm from Hillsborough, North Carolina.
Okay, so it's right outside of Chapel Hill.
Hmm.
And Sanjana, where are you from?
I'm here, Charlotte,
You
North
come
Carolina.
you come from where?
Charlotte.
Charlotte, North
Yeah,
Carolina.
yeah.
Okay, so you're back in your home. So you
Yeah.
commute to school or do you live on campus?
I commute.
Okay, okay. So all right. So hold on, we're gonna get started in just a second. Let me just drop this. Let's go into Ripen real quick and make sure everybody. Do you guys know your classmates?
I do not know.
Okay. And Sanjana, you don't know anybody that is taking this course this semester either.
No.
Okay, so hold on. Let's just drop it in the chat. Let's see. I keep getting confused because I have two set of students from Charlotte. Um, and let me just make sure you guys are okay. You guys are the okay, Sanjana, Kyler and Patkara. So I'll just stick this in the chat, make sure that they know that the meeting is now. Okay. I'll just put meeting in progress. Okay, so if they join us, they join us. If not, they can pick this up next week. I try to I do record everything we do, but sometimes I don't have time to upload it to YouTube for you guys to see it before the next meeting. Um, I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about me and kind of why I'm doing what it is that I'm doing. And then we'll get into a little bit about you guys. Well, I'll just ask you guys, kind of what classes you're taking and why you want to do a project like this. So let's just give you my background. My name is Tamisha Thomas, and welcome to the TMT Youth Community Foundation. For the duration of this program, you're considered TMT mentees. So what happens is I will drop a link in the chat for you guys to actually fill out, upload your resume. So let me do that for you right now. Um, the TMT Mentee program is basically a program. It's one of about four. It's one of four programs that we have for youth. Uh, it is designed to make sure that you have applicable job skills before you enter into this um, employment world. And usually the TMT mentees basically help us in four areas. They help us with production, they help us with curriculum development, they help us with events management. And let me just go ahead and share my screen with you so you can see what I'm doing, what I'm seeing. So the TMT Youth Community Foundation helps us in four areas: production interns. They usually help produce um, content, events management to help us put on events, curriculum and training interns to help us write curriculum, and marketing interns to help us do marketing for small businesses. I've been running this program for 20 years, and this is the first time that this semester, it's the second semester we've worked with interns internationally. I'm located in Raleigh, North Carolina, and so to date, we've done a lot of stuff with the Shaw students. The Shaw students have done everything from make children's books, to make magazines, to have a healthy communities walk, a Juneteenth event. And so with Ripen, we're able to extend what we do with students to an international level. So this semester, we actually have students in Zimbabwe, um, creating applications for one of our clients. We will have students in Tulsa, Oklahoma doing artificial intelligence for us. We have students in Champlain College actually creating workflow systems for work orders. So now, because of Ripen, we're able to get larger universities and huge skill sets for the students that are entering the program. Sometimes what I do is I do a jobs board, but it's kind of getting it's kind of getting crazy because the students actually real people in the community are reaching out to me like, hey, and I'm like, they don't even know it's an internship, so I don't want to even get people hyped up because my email is like full of people that want to be hired for these positions that I'm offering the students. So I will use the old process of this application here. So this application will give me an idea of who you guys are, where you come from. You can fill out which internship. I think your internship, let me look at this, is you guys are, let me see which program you guys were working with. Was it HBCU TV? I think so. The Greensboro project. Let me see. You are working with community educators program. Okay, so okay, and the team before you is going to be working with, okay, so you're working with the community educators program. And so the community educators program is basically us creating curriculum. So you're going to work with another team of students to help us create curriculum. And that curriculum is both the robotics curriculum that we're working on, as well as what we call the community educators curriculum. And so this is going to be the link. I'm going to drop it in the chat. You guys can fill it out. And it will give me your information, your email, your phone number, and any job um, experience you've had in the past. So I'm going to stick that here in the chat, and then you guys make sure that you grab it and provide your information on that. So this particular program that we have is a program that is hold on, I'm pulling it up so you guys can see it. So we have another university working on this program together. You might get a chance to meet these students. They meet on Saturday. So I just want to make sure I might be able to combine the two of you guys to meet to help them out on their project. They started the program with think about 5 students, and now they have 3. But I want to show you kind of what this program looks like. You guys see this?
Yeah.
So the community educators program is basically, we are, do you guys hear that, the Department of Education, is kind of, what do you know about it, Scholar? You're shaking your head. So tell me what you know about the Department of Education. What's going on?
Well, are you talking about I'm sorry, I was just shaking my head because I was listening, but is this the DEI thing or is this a completely different?
Well, President Trump submitted an executive order to be able to defund the Department of Education.
Right, yes, I have heard about that.
And so tell me more about what you've heard.
Um, well, my parents actually work in public media, so I've heard a little bit about that from them and just losing funding for important um, educational resources that they are no longer allowed to use.
Okay, so how do you think that's going to affect? First of all, why do you think the president is doing that?
I am not sure. I really don't know.
I don't
Okay.
know. I think he wants to like uneducate people. So like I don't know if that makes any sense, but like the fact that he kind of wants to get rid of it, it's like he doesn't want people to be like educated and like I guess from history we're supposed to learn from that and grow from that, but it's like he kind of wants to erase it in a way.
Okay. So I've been in this space for quite some time, for like over 20 years. And when I entered into the education space here in North Carolina, my kids couldn't read, they couldn't count, they couldn't multiply, they couldn't divide. And I was in Durham County schools. It's not a tier 1 county, but the kids there didn't have a skill set. And one of the young men that I taught actually killed Eva Carson, who attended University of Chapel Hill, and he was under a push out. As I was educating the kids, I couldn't go back and teach them, even though I knew they couldn't read, write, multiply, divide. The system prevented me from being able to give them previous building blocks so that they could become successful individuals in the community. So the United States, we spend a lot of money on education. We have the least educated students, and can't those kids can't pass end of grade test. I also get up in the morning. I teach in China, so I do have kids that I also teach in China. I'm also teaching in Zambia. And when I say that the American public school system is is being dismantled so that it could something else can happen, because what is currently going on is not effective, especially for students with disabilities and students coming from low income areas. These kids are not getting quality education. So, because the system is so big and so robust, I think that the president says, okay, well, I don't know what to do, but I tell you what, we're not going to do is we're not going to spend any more money on this. And that's because America has been making sure that we manufacture war weapons and we make sure that we drop bombs on people, but we haven't really done what we need to do infrastructurally for a nation to be able to thrive in the 21st market. And so he says, okay, well, I don't know what to do, but I tell you what, the federal, and then not only that, they had a big push inside of schools to be able to have this gender affirming. I don't know if you guys have heard of the gender affirming things that were going on. Did y'all hear about the critical race theory stuff that was going on in schools? Okay, so I was in Moore County and they had this critical race stuff that was going on in schools, and I didn't know what it was, but I was attending a meeting where we had actually just bought a school with one of my clients, and he was there to ask for to I forgot whether he was there. He wasn't there to change the zoning. He was there to submit to the school board a proposal and ask the school board that there would be a proposal coming their way for them to be able to grant him the ability to bid on the school and all this other good stuff. So while I was there, the critical race theory, everybody from the community was there about the critical race theory. And the Department of Education had issued this survey to schools that would identify children that would have emotional behavioral issues. And at the end of that emotional behavioral issue survey, after they identified these kids had to be able to be referred over to some type of counseling that was left up to the state. So several states like Texas actually popped up gender affirming clinics and started to tell little boys and little girls that they didn't have a gender, and that they started to give to them gender blocking drugs. So you can actually look at this. And so President Trump looked at this and was like, there shouldn't be a child being told that they're not a boy or a girl, and this is all being paid for by federal funds. And so it was easier to stop and defund all of this than to put in ramifications to be able to govern it. And so he began, he did the executive order. Now he's got to go to the Senate to see whether or not they're going to defund this. And so there's a reappropriation of all these monies. But at the end, there's going to be a lot of counties, school districts, cities that will not be able to sustain without having federal funds. So we're going to see a huge amount of people be left behind because they're not going to be able to recover from not having federal funds. And so this community educators program is here to address that those foresee changes. happening in North Carolina. So North Carolina is set up with tier 1 and tier 2 counties, and we're looking to be able to go into tier 1, tier 2 counties with an initiative with robotics to be able to fill the gap and what's going to happen once these funds are cut off at the federal level. And so this community educators program is basically about the community educators program. Skylar, could you read this for me, please?
The Community Educator Program empowers professionals to transform their intellectual property into impactful online courses. This framework integrates monthly consulting sessions to guide curriculum development and supports educators through the process.
Okay, so what do you think that means?
I think that it's trying to help educators take a different path in what they want their curriculum to look like,
Yeah.
instead of like the traditional what we are used to.
Right. And so this space that we're in is about creating something new and creating something that works. As someone who's indigenous to this land, my family, part of my family didn't come from slave ships. Part of my family actually were like indigenous people to America. They were Blackfoot Indian. And so you never hear about our story on who we were as far as our history. You see Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue and he met some people that were Indians, and then they put on a trail of tears. But then there were some Indians who held on to their land and was like, nope, we ain't going nowhere. And that's my family line. And so I want to be able to say, okay, this story that has been concocted doesn't fit all, it's not a cookie cutter curriculum, it's not a cookie cutter space. So I want to be able to tell the story of the people that I come from and put it in a curriculum, because these are things and stories that I was taught since I was a little girl. It makes me identify more than just being Black in the United States. It makes me identify being indigenous to the United States and being able to have land rights that some people don't have access or don't know because those stories weren't told. And so I can occasionally meet someone and they understand that I'm an indigenous person to this land because they too are indigenous and they too were taught these stories. And so this is what this curriculum looks like. This is curriculum that is going to be a Moorish curriculum, and it's going to be an indigenous curriculum. And so we're looking for people to help us create this new curriculum inside of this program called the Community Educators Program. And we're going to look for these people on the internet. Um, Sanjana, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Sanjana, can you read this for me?
Um, Turn your knowledge into impact and income with the Community Educators Program. Are you an educator, mentor, or professional passionate about sharing knowledge? Imagine transforming your expertise into a dynamic online course that not only educates the next generation, but also generates income for you and your community. With the Community Educators Program, you gain access to a structured framework designed to help you create, refine, and launch an educational curriculum, all while earning royalties from its success. Why join? Monetize your expertise, convert your intellectual property into a marketable curriculum, and earn 25% royalties from every sale. Guided curriculum development. Receive monthly consulting sessions to refine your course and maximize impact. Invest in yourself and your community. For just $125 a month for 12 months, you unlock tools, mentorship, and support needed to create high quality educational content, making a lasting impact. Your curriculums helps educate children in your community, fostering learning in STEAM fields. Don't let your knowledge sit on the sidelines. Empower yourself, young minds, and build a legacy of learning. Join today and start creating the future.
Okay, so what does this say to you?
I think they're just I think they're trying to like combine like impact, kind of like what it says, impact and income, and just like using the resources that like they're providing, and also kind of like killing like two birds with like one stone. It's like you get this, but then you can also get like other things too. Like it says, like you can get like a deal, but it also like you're helping the community too. So it's like for yourself and it's also impacting the community. I think that's like a two in one. Also, like you're helping the community and you're also like getting a benefit from it too.
Okay. So you guys get an allowance, or do you guys work?
I work.
You work? Skylar, do you get an allowance or do you work?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Okay. Have you guys noticed that prices are going up, 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 and up, and up, and up, and up? And so you guys are that generation where it's like, okay, will I be able to buy a house when I graduate from college? Like, what's going on with that, right? So this is a way to be able to say, okay, you got professional knowledge out there. You've been working for 10 plus years. Why don't you help us create some of this curriculum that we've got to create? And then you invest in yourself. And then when we go and we start this micro school, every time we sell this curriculum that you've helped us create, you'll receive a passive income. So that's the deal that we're offering to professionals. And that's the deal that you're going to help us craft. Because we don't know these people. They're going to be on TikTok and all of a sudden they're going to be like, oh, wow, I get to invest in myself for 12 months and then I come out with a curriculum that then can be sold as part of a micro school movement. And not only do we want to use the curriculum, there we can actually sell it to other micro schools who also want to use the curriculum. And then therefore we start to be able to have these new curriculums that are done by professionals in the field that then creates a pipeline to those fields. And so that is the offer here. And we want you guys to help us craft the offer in doing this. So we're looking at an industry report and we're looking at micro schools. Skylar, can you read this for me?
Industry report, the value proposition of the community educators program in the microschool movement. The microschool movement represents a paradigm shift in education, moving from standardized large-scale systems to small, personalized, and community-driven learning environments. At the center of this transformation is the Community Educators Program, designed to equip individuals with the tools, training, and resources necessary to become microeducators, curriculum developers, and facilitators of learning experiences that prioritize community, culture, and innovation. This report outlines the value proposition of the Community Educators Program within the context of the growing microschool movement. It highlights how the program addresses systemic gaps, empowers educators and families, and positions itself as a cornerstone in redefining education for the 21st century.
Okay. And so there's going to be lots of, I mean, this already started post COVID. Post COVID, some of those counties out in Eastern North Carolina didn't open their schools back up. And they began to close the schools. And if the students could not ride for an hour to a neighboring school, we've got students right now in Eastern North Carolina that are not going to school. So there's going to be pockets of people that just are not going to get any education. And because I'm in the education space, um, um, we were told as educators that because of the robotic community that's coming, there's only a third of the workforce that would be needed. And so there's already, and then they also said that if you look at the map, that most people are in MSAs. Do you guys know what an MSA is? Okay, so Charlotte is in an MSA, Charlotte Mecklenburg County. You're one of the top tier counties inside of North Carolina. We're about to go over that so you can kind of understand how they have looked at a map and said, okay, we don't need these people, we don't need these people, we don't need these people. And the more rural that you are, the more economically deprived that you usually are. You usually don't have industry in those areas. It's usually a lot of farmland and a lot of environmental injustices in those areas where those people are just you have factories that are coming in and poisoning the water, poisoning the air, and located there so that they could actually do environmental injustice type things. Well, in the future of education, those people are getting cut out. They could get cut out. That's what they're going to do. They're going to get cut out. And so this actually works to be able to help the people in those communities so that we can have a low cost solution, but a high quality product that is facilitated through the internet, connected to centers of learning, and I want to say conventions and conferences where you can, if you still wanted to be educated, there's a light. There will be a lifeline for you. This will be the lifeline. And so I currently have, so you guys are not the only groups of students working on this project. We have a group of students out of the Chicago City schools that are working on this project as well. So I will pair you up with them. And what you guys are going to do is create the customer journey for finding these professionals. Scholar, do you know what it means when I say customer journey?
Does that mean we're trying to target people who could potentially work with this?
Right. Right. And so in the customer journey, and let's go into that. And so we'll come back to this, but I want to kind of show you what the customer journey looks like so you'll know exactly what types of tools would be needed for us to attract these people to the table because we don't know these people. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put this offer in front of them, but it's a way that we do it through social media. Okay. And so when we talked about the TMT Youth Community Foundation, we talked about 4 areas that the mentees help us in. One was production, one was writing curriculum and curriculums, one was events, and the third was marketing. So we're going to reach them through marketing efforts. And the customer journey is the marketing efforts by which we will use to attract these people. And so our customer journey. So we do have the nonprofit, but we also have the an LLC that I just started because we're moving up the ladder with this and offering these services that we've perfected with the nonprofit to larger organizations. And when I'm talking to those larger organizations, I use this presentation to kind of show them what we can do for them as a marketing agency. And I'm going to teach you the tool. I'm going to teach you guys the steps that I use in the marketing agency to be able to attract high dollar clients so that we can actually have another income stream so this micro school doesn't have to cost exactly what it costs to run a micro school. We can have the parents pay a portion so that they don't have to pay the full cost because of course we're going to be probably in rural communities where most people can't probably afford to be able to take on these curriculums. And so the marketing agency will help cover some of the cost for the nonprofit as a way for us to be able to make the tuition low for the micro schools. But this is kind of what we do in marketing. We have what we do in our LLC is I used to work in radio, guys. I majored in marketing. I worked for a radio station in Huntsville, Alabama. I started my career at a V103. Atlanta, and so I'm very familiar and I love the area of marketing. And so I actually came here to teach school because I was kind of engaged at the time and I was going to start this whole nother life and I was going to be a teacher. And then I recognized that my kids couldn't count, they couldn't read. Like, this is ridiculous. And I said, what am I going to do about this? And so I started the nonprofit and began to give this skill set to the students. And I'm just now post COVID coming back to um, setting up the infrastructure with the nonprofit, but going back to what I love, which will make the money for the organization in the advertising space of everything. And so when you're talking about marketing, I myself are concentrating on 4 areas because marketing is how do you get the market ready to buy anything that you're selling. And so it's a bunch of ways that you can do that. I concentrate on 4. I concentrate on the digital space where it's just the social media and the internet, the traditional space, which is all the traditional medias that you have, like your radio, your television, your billboard, your direct mail. And digital is so big now because not only is it just your social media, but it's your Spotify. It is anything that you can get from another computer versus a satellite. That's the digital space. Traditional space is going to be all the stuff. It's going to be your satellites. It's going to be your television signals. It's going to be your billboards. It's going to be those things. Digital now even consists of geofencing, where you walk into a grocery store and your phone is pinged with a uh, invisible digital net, and then all of a sudden you're getting coupons to shop Publix again. So it's digital is all of that space connected with your phone, connected with your iPad, connected with your gaming system. All of that is digital. Traditional Then OTT, that is your Netflix, that is your Hulu, that is those services that are app television is what we call it. And then events, the ability to be able to come into or throw an event or come to an event, to be able to have your flyers and your walking mascot and all of those things to attract people to say, hey, this is who we are. Can you sample our product? Can you try our product? Here's a QR code. Go to our homepage. And just we exist in those spaces where there's large amounts of people, conferences, online Zoom meetings. So we do 4 areas. And in these spaces, we pull together customer journeys such that we create content in those spaces so that people can see us, are attracted to us, and then can come into a webinar to say, hey, I want to hear more about this. Well, then we sign them up, and then they're part of a team for 12 months where then they're invested in themselves and they're now creating this curriculum and helping us move this thing forward. Okay, so in that digital space, it looks like SEO. Can someone tell me what SEO is? Take a stab at it. You ever heard that term? Search engine optimization. When you go to your Skylar, tell me, what was the last thing you bought off the internet?
I think a dress.
A dress. Okay, so what did you type in when you went looking for this dress?
Um, I think I went to Amazon and I just typed
Okay.
in dresses.
Okay. So then dresses is the search engine optimization. Who came up? Right? So
Mm.
when you type in a word, search engine optimization is, am I associated with that word? And does the search engine bring it? Because search engine, it just search engine, you were on Amazon. So if I were to be selling a product on Amazon, did I put the right keywords in such that that dress pops up? And so that's what search engine optimization. Can the search engines find you? And how do they find you? Do you know? Sanjana, do you know how search engines find you?
No, not really.
That you have a lot of content. Okay, so do you have a lot of content on the internet such that when people are looking for something, you pop up? When people are looking for something on Google, do you pop up? When Chat GTP, you ask it a question, do you have enough content out there that is spitting out what you've told the search engines? So search engine optimization is making friends with Google, making friends with, I don't know, Chrome, making friends with Opera, making friends with those search engines such that you're putting in keywords that associate your product or service with what these people need. So, like if professionals are needing something, they might be looking for something that says side gig because I need some more money. So when we are creating these community educators, how are we telling the search engines to find this content? So there's a science behind finding those keywords that'll make the community educators program pop up if professionals are looking to be able to explore additional income. Maybe looking for a career change because they're not happy with the money that they have. So can we pop up in that spaces when they're looking for those things? Pay per click. Can you take a stab at it? Scholar, can you tell me what pay per click is?
Um, Basically, like if you click on an ad, that gives money to whoever created the ad.
Right, right. So we can get out there and pay per click. Content marketing. Sanjana, can you tell me what content marketing would be?
Is it where you're like basing your like content towards a certain group of people? Like
And
you're targeting them?
yeah, and what is content? What can content be?
I think it could be like anything like flyers, like digital flyers or something, or like something you make
Something you make.
online. Yeah.
Blogs, right? Videos, memes, all of those things. So do we have content for the community educators program? Is there a blog for the community educators program that's saying, hey, this is what we're looking for? Are there memes for the content for the community educators program? Are there pictures of someone trying to pay their bills and can't, but are a professional and want to be able to do more? Is it someone who wants to volunteer? What are the pain points? So when you're able to understand what the pain points of that professional is, then you're able to present the CEP program as something that can solve their pain point, can solve their need. Maybe they're just out there living La Vida Loco, have graduated, have been in their field for the last 5, 6 years, and they want something more. They want to be able to connect with the community. So is there a blog they can come across that explains the benefit of the community educators program? Is there a meme that pops up and says, hey, this is what exists? And so that is what that is. Social media marketing. Scholar, can you tell me what that is?
You're trying to create fast content that people will be engaged in, to want something or
Mm-hmm.
just watch.
Yep. Sanjana, can you tell me email marketing? What is that?
I think it's just where you try to get other people's information so you can get your information out to others. It's just a quicker way and like almost like a personal way too to help people get behind like where you stand.
Okay. And so if we look at the so we have created some content for the community educators program. We have created a landing page for the community educators program. And so here is a space where we've dedicated to the community educators program that tells them more about it. Okay. Scholar, can you read this?
As public education continues to face budget cuts, more families are seeking alternative pathways to learning. Micro schools, learning pods, and community-based classrooms are rising, but who will lead them? You will. The Community Educators Program, powered by the TMT Youth Community Foundation, supports community leaders, creatives, and cultural educators in turning their lived experience and intellectual property into transformative online courses.
Okay. Sanjana, read this.
About us. For over 20 years, the TMT Youth Community Foundation has supported Black youth and families through transformative programs in technology, media education, and cultural empowerment. The Community Educators Program continues this mission by equipping everyday leaders to create extraordinary learning spaces.
Okay, and so here is this young woman.
If they won't fund our schools, we'll build our own. Public education is under attack. Budgets are being slashed. Vouchers are funneling money away from our classrooms. In North Carolina, Governor Cooper has declared a state of emergency for public education. But from the ashes of a broken system, something new is rising: community led education. Across the country, micro schools and learning pods are replacing outdated models, and they need culturally rooted, real world curriculum created by people like you. This free live info section introduces the Community Educators Program, a 3-month cohort for creatives, cultural leaders, and professionals ready to transform their lived experience and intellectual property into powerful, sellable online curriculum for the future of education. In this 45-minute session, you'll learn why now is the moment to enter the booming micro school market, how to turn your story, skills, or cultural wisdom into curriculum, even if you've never taught before, the full breakdown of the community educators cohort experience, how we sell your curriculum to micro schools, you don't have to teach it, how to join the movement and get paid for your knowledge.
Micro schools foster close-knit communities, allowing for meaningful relationships between teachers and students. This setup encourages collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. Parents love the flexibility and focus on holistic development, while students thrive in a supportive atmosphere. As the education landscape evolves, micro schools led by seasoned professionals are paving the way for a brighter, more personalized future in learning. Isn't it time to rethink how education is delivered?
Okay. So, and then that's me working with the universities to be able to get you guys to the table to help do this program. And so the community educators program, you sign up here to actually get the newsletter. I think that should be at the bottom of the page. I got to redo that. It tells you why now, and it tells what they'll gain. Develop online curriculum, monthly cohort sessions, curriculum design tools. Because I will give them the curriculum design tools. This system that I'm using actually does that for them. Ownership and income strategy, supportive educator network. And we'll have a curriculum inside of us. This program helped me pull out mine, polish it, and put it in the hands of educators who are hungry for cultural relevant content. So we're going to have a cohort. So we want to do groups of about 12 or more educators in one program. And then after they finish the program, it will be a monthly fee for them for us to carry the program on our servers, and then we work to sell it as part of the micro schools. This is the type of packages we have. So they start at $125 a month, where we actually do a basic newsletter for their micro school and help them be able to find people to actually purchase it outside of our own ability to be able to sell it. And then we also want to we can automate their efforts, and we can actually help them look for clients the same way we're looking for clients that's different from that space. And it kind of gives different packages based upon what they want, how they want to make the investment. Here are two people that we're working with right now in the community educators program. We're working with a group called Raise Frequency. They're actually doing leadership development and actually having leadership courses so that they can help leaders be better leaders within their community. And the political pop-up shop is a civic engagement curriculum that actually has a Moorish and indigenous background to it. So this is two people that's actually going through the pilot program right now. And they're receiving individual services and a roadmap to have them be able to say this is what they're going to have in the end. These are the frequently asked questions for the community educators program that basically answers some of the questions. And from this space, our customer journey is for them to next have a on-demand webinar that you and Skylar will produce together that they get to see. Okay, so since you guys are here, I'm going to have you work on the webinar. Now, I just want to kind of show you, so they would actually come here, and then if they want more information after she speaks to them, the more information will be an on-demand webinar. And the on-demand webinar could be about 30 minutes, and I want it to explain why we're doing the micro school movement. Now, I'm going to give you the information that was provided by the last team. So we kind of know why we're doing this because of budget cuts. We kind of know so let me tell you who we're going after. Okay. So you're going to have access to this information, which you can use to be able to get this done. And it kind of tells you the milestones. So let's come back to this. And basically what you're doing is you're going to take these documents that we have and you're going to put them in a webinar. And I'm going to give you the tool to do that. It's going to be called Kapling. Let's see. Do I want you to do Kapling? Yeah. So the industry report, you have the micro school landscape. So we're not going to just jump out there and go into a micro school. And that's not the goal here. The goal here is for us to build that relationship with other with the communities that we want to serve in. Because we are launching an after school program for robotics. And that after school program for robotics is going to be a 3-county initiative. It's going to be in Forsyth County, where Winston-Salem State is. It's going to be in Rockingham County and Guilford County. And I can take you to see what that looks like. So the micro schools is kind of like step, I want to say 8. You're also looking at, I just won a seat in my town. I actually live in Zebulon. and I'm now the sustainability chair of the town of Zebulon. So I want to be able to utilize my civic position to be able to advocate for these centers to be across the state. Um, it's a 3-year term, so I want to be able to make the momentum in the next year or so in Forsyth, Guilford, and Rockingham County, so that people can kind of look and say, okay, what is she doing, and can this be a solution to what's going on? So I just want to kind of show you. Again, we're not going to jump out there for a micro school. We are this year's initiative to get closer to that goal is to be able to we're taking the students from A&T, and we are creating a learning pathway for STEM. And so I used to run my son's robotics club. It's First Club. Is First is one of the #1 after school programs in the state of North in the country. And they kind of pushed out. They utilized the money in these counties and these areas for these Black and brown children, but then after the grant is over, they push these students out. So there's no real um, long term participation in these organizations. And so, what the TMT Youth Community Foundation wants to do is create long term sustainable programs that creates pipelines to higher education. So, that's our goal. And we're doing it under this initiative, which will make room for micro schools. This initiative actually would actually start to prototype out our STEAM curriculum for the micro school. Does that make sense? Okay. It's we're actually rolling it out under Portia Paris. This was her actually engaging a group of students in civic engagement. She had me come in and teach the students civic engagement, and I taught them how to use media to be able to create a civic campaign that would cause change in their community. And so the pathway to getting the micro school is to engage a tier 1 county with a deliverable of education that then can be scaled up. Does that make sense? And so the micro school stuff is like, oh, well, that's not all we have on the table with this robotics program. We also have these 20 educators who've already come through this program with this curriculum that's sitting on the shelf, that not only can we give these students an hour on Saturday robotics, but now we can actually give them we actually have curriculum from K through 12 that can be administered in your community. And so that is what the students of Chicago, that's what they're working on right now. And so they're looking at, and you can read through all of this. They did the value proposition for actually having a micro school, the landscape of the market, the role of the community, the role of the community educators program. They put that in there. They looked at the value proposition to the local educators, to equity access, scalability and sustainability, and the future of ready learning. They looked at the industry trends to support the community educators program. They looked at the competitive advantage. They looked at the conclusion. They created a framework for what the program is looking like with the STEM and African and Moorish histories, early trade studies. They looked at what the math would look like, the science would like, the engineering, the technology, the storytelling, the history, identity, art and expression, and trade skills. This is what they're currently working on. You will probably get to meet these students. Then they looked at the grades: first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. And then they looked at, this is where we actually would administer the program, because I do have an online space already. And so as we began to bring these community educators in, they would actually store their curriculums here. And then we looked at the structure of the particular program and the milestones that each of the community educators would actually hit when we go through developing the community educators program with the community educators. And so it's a complete framework that we're building out. And your part of this for right now is to do Scholar. What was your part?
We are in charge of the webinar.
The webinar, right? Okay. And so, but this gives you all the information that you've got to put into the webinar to answer these questions. Because then what happens is after the webinar, we'll send them pieces of this. We don't want to overload anyone, but the webinar, they get to watch it, right? And so you want to, what you want to do is you want to say, you want to go and look at how to properly put together a webinar. So that is what you're going to bring for me back next week. You're going to lay out what is the proper way to lay out, because there's a proper way to lay out a webinar. And then I want you to, from that webinar template, I want you to start to juxtapose the information that you have here to starting to match that webinar template. Does that make sense? So they have also, so this is the community educator's role is actually helping us make the curriculum. And what the students of Chicago, the city schools of Chicago, what they have done is, in addition to creating the community educators program, they've also looked at the story of micro school. And what I'm doing is adding the idea of the tier 1 counties, because what we want to do is we want to target those areas that are not like Mecklenburg or like Raleigh that I'm in. So like, even though I'm in a small town, and I think that civically engagement. So this is funny for me because the vision is to have a building with 4 floors. And I majored in marketing, so the media is part of what I've been doing forever. I came here in 2000, became an educator. And so I've been educating for the last 20 years. Um, in addition to the marketing, I just got my insurance license. So that's the finance part of that building. And then my county commissioner just made me civically engaged by serving as part on my town. So this building that I want to build is really my walking experience of wanting of what I'm currently doing in my community. And so we want this work to turn from just an idea to actually a building where all 4 floors happen. And the micro school would be a floor inside of this building where people who value education at that point have a place to bring their kids. And the learning is amazing and can get their children to their life's journey because it's such a great curriculum that we can actually sell across the country to be able to have other micro schools. So this is what the students of the city of Chicago, what they did was they went in and they looked at the story of micro schools. They looked at the introduction of it. They looked at the origins of a micro school. They looked at the tier system. I actually did the tier system of in North Carolina, and understanding that there are 100 counties in North Carolina. 40 are very, very distressed. 2 are intermediate distressed, and 3 are the least distressed. You and I are living in the 2 least distressed counties. And so we're actually putting together a program for those counties that are distressed, with the beta program coming to Rockingham County, which is a number 1 county, where you and I are in 3-tier counties. Does that make sense? And it tells you what a 3-tier county is, and it gives you the statute by which this was determined. Because when we're looking at solving a problem, we got to look at the civic part of it and what the government has said about this particular area. Because sometimes they actually put resources around these areas so that this problem can be taken care of. And so it kind of shows you where these counties are. It shows you the criticisms and the weaknesses of the counties. it shows you the implications of having this many, like 80 of the counties in North Carolina, 80% of North Carolina is in poverty. That's deep, right? And that's pretty consistent across the United States. Most of the counties are distressed. There's only a couple of cities and counties in a state that are not rural and that don't have that may not have broadband access, may not have industry. So if we can actually get this thing up and running in North Carolina, we can satellite this thing across the country. Does that make sense? Are there any questions to the information and what you're supposed to do? You've got all the information right here. Now you've got to make it into a 45-minute presentation. I would say maybe 30 because nobody wants to watch a 45-minute webinar on demand. And then from the webinar that they could click on that site, then they'd be asked to be able to come into a call with, with me or with the salesperson to be able to say, now there'll be a lot of other content out there, but you guys would be responsible for taking this information, breaking it down, and making a webinar. Are there any questions on what you're supposed to be doing? Do you think you can get it done?
Yeah.
Okay. So usually what I do is what I will do is I'm going to do a drive for you guys. I want you guys to put I want you to take what was in the chat, make sure you have your application. And then I'm managing some people through a ClickUp management system, but your project is simple enough for me to manage you guys with Google Drive. So if you go ahead and put your email in the chat, I know that it will be later inside of the application, but if you both go ahead and put your email in the chat, that will help me go ahead and do a drive for you where I can put this information in the drive. You can have access to it. Give me till tomorrow to do so. So then you can pull off of it. But I want you guys to be able to also take each other's email and phone numbers and start a WhatsApp. So you go ahead and start a WhatsApp for your group. And we need a project manager for the group. So amongst the two of you guys, who would like to serve as the project manager?
Oh gosh. Um, would you like to?
It really doesn't matter. I'm good with
Okay.
anything. Do you want to?
Not really, if I may.
Okay, then
Okay.
good. Then I got it.
Anjana said she's good at anything. So I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna start to say I'm good at anything. So go ahead and start a WhatsApp and put her in it. I'll give you my phone number too. I'll put it in the chat so that you can have access to it, and put me in the chat and call it UNC Charlotte Community CPEP Community Educators Program. That way I'll
Okay.
know. Because it's I go into the chat and I'm like, where am I going? I don't know. And okay, that's my phone number and then my email address. I don't know what's needed for the chat, but WhatsApp, but I think between the two of those things.
And are we working on this webinar with the two other people in our group, or is it just us?
I'm gonna give them something else to do.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know what they'll probably start to create some of the memes and social media that has to bring them into the landing page. Because the other group, what they did was work on the slides. Now what you can actually do is use the slides from the what's probably going to be the easiest thing is for you to use the slides from the typeset. So I'll put the PDFs in there for you so you can kind of see that. I'll put those PDFs inside of, and they're still working on those slides, but you'll be able to see what the slide says, and you can actually create the script from what's on the slide. So they're still working on the slides, but you can probably take those slides and make the webinar. And then we also have the community educators that are that we currently have. So they can maybe even make some of that content to be able to attract people to the landing page. Okay. All right. So are there any more questions to what this is?
I think so.
No?
Is this like the whole semester project? Is that our timeline?
Yeah, it's a whole semester project. And after you get the webinar together, then it'll be something else that's on that customer journey that is needed to be able to attract, to be able to, like, I know that they're also working on brochures so that if we're at events and QR codes, so everybody has a different, so if you finish the webinar, which you probably will, it's not going to take you all semester to do that, then there'll be something else from the project, so another part of the customer journey that you'll have to tackle. And then in the end, you guys get to see this great connected customer journey, and you'll know exactly how you played a part in that. They were actually instrumental in being able to have some of the micro school stuff. So it's already coming together and looking like really, really awesome. So, okay. I just don't like to overwhelm anybody because I know you guys have other work to do. And give it to you piece at a time to see exactly how everybody is managing their piece so that it comes together effortlessly. Okay. Are there any other questions? Skylar, I really love that mirror you have back there. I mean, I really would like looking at myself in that. I'm a mirror girl, so I just love that the golden mirror. Is that your room that I'm looking at in your room?
Oh, I'm sorry. My internet just disconnected.
Oh,
I'm at my parents' house this weekend watching after my pets. So this is my little room. I've got my sun porch, my day bed.
okay. Yeah, I love that's a
The
beautiful.
mirror.
Yes, it is. It says opulence and I'm beautiful. I
I know it's so pretty. I love the gold.
Yeah, I love it too. So, okay, so you guys have that, and I will put your assets in there. So the first thing that I want you to do is to look and see what is the template for a good webinar that sells. So high converting webinar, you want to find the template because they're going to tell you how to put the webinar together. Okay.
Also, sorry, Skylar, can I get your like number in the chat really quick?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Sanjana, you're going to put together the web. And you can also counter back with Ripen and ask the other members who were not there, hey, guys, can we get your email address and your phone number so we can add you to the WhatsApp? Is this a good time to meet for you guys on Sundays around this time? Okay, so we can keep it at this time. And if are there any more questions, you guys understand everything?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I will see you next Sunday at 3:00.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. This was
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
You
Yes, you
too.
too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Did I record it?